हेलो हेलो हेलो।
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's rightly said, sustainability is not just about doing less harm, it's about doing more good. With this thought, a warm welcome to everyone present here for today's insightful masterclass at Sri Balaji University, Pune. I, Bhavika Gurbani, Senior Student Manager, placed at Nestle, pursuing MBA in Marketing from Balaji Institute of Modern Management, and it's an absolute pleasure to be your host for this wonderful session.
And I, Shubham Rathod, Senior Student Manager, intern at Amul, also specializing in marketing from Balaji Institute of Modern Management, Sri Balaji University, Pune. Together,
Together, we
we
are
will
honored
honor
to
to be
be
your
your
Masters
Masters
of
of
Ceremony
Ceremony
for
for
today's
today's
engaging
engaging
session.
session. We are gathered here for a masterclass on the topic ESG in today's VUCA world. This session promises to shed light on how organizations can integrate environmental, social, and governance principles to drive long term sustainable growth in an unpredictable business environment.
It is our utmost privilege to welcome our distinguished guest, Ms. Rashmi Singh, Managing Director and CEO of Enexion Consulting. Ma'am is an IICA certified impact leader, a renowned ESG and sustainability speaker, and a visionary professional driving global standard ESG transformation for the Indian industry. A postgraduate from the prestigious Birla Institute of Technology, MESRA. Ms. Singh has over 2 decades of experience in sustainability and corporate strategy. Under her dynamic leadership, Enexon Consulting has become a trusted advisor for Indian and global organizations in the sustainability journeys. She is also an advocate for women's leadership and passionately believes in aligning business growth with responsibility. We are truly honored to have you with us, ma'am.
We would also like to extend a warm welcome to our Chancellor, Professor B. Parmanandan Balasubramaniam Sir, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. G. K. Shirde Sir, the Deans, Directors, Deputy Directors, faculty members, and our dear student managers.
Before we begin the session, let us take a moment to fondly remember our founder, president, and chancellor, late Professor Dr. Colonel A. Balasubramaniam Sir, whose vision and leadership have laid the foundation of such enriching corporate interactions at our university.
May I now invite Dr. Archana Shivastav, Director BIMM, to welcome our esteemed guest, Ms. Rashmi Singh, with a bouquet of flowers.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, may I call upon Shriya to formally introduce our guest to the audience?
A very good afternoon to everyone present here. I, Shriya, Senior Student Manager at Balaji Institute of Modern Management, have the privilege of introducing an inspiring leader whose vision continues to shape the future of sustainable business in India, Ms. Rashmi Singh. Ms. Singh is the Managing Director and CEO of Enexion Consulting Private Limited, part of the globally recognized Enexion Group, a Pune based firm specializing in sustainability and ESG advisory. With nearly 2 decades of dedicated association with the organization, she has been instrumental in establishing two successful subsidiaries in India and steering Enexon Consulting toward becoming a trusted advisor in ESG and sustainability strategy. A postgraduate from the Birla Institute of Technology, MESRA, Ms. Singh is widely respected for her expertise in sustainable business leadership and her ability to help organizations navigate the complex landscape of ESG regulations while building long term responsible strategies. Beyond her corporate achievements, Ms. Singh is a thought leader and advocate for change. Her insightful contributions to industry publications on topics such as carbon footprint reduction and ESG compliance challenges for exporters reflect her deep commitment to environmental stewardship. She is also a frequent keynote speaker and panelist at reputed forums where she shares her perspectives on sustainability, governance, and ethical leadership. Equally passionate about women leadership and empowerment, Ms. Singh champions initiatives that encourage businesses to align growth with purpose, creating an ecosystem from where responsibility and success go hand in hand. Please join me in extending a warm and respectful welcome to Ms. Rashmi Singh. Ma'am, the stage is all yours. Yeah, I think it's working. Yes. Yeah. Uh, Thank you for the kind introduction. I missed the face. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you to Sinha sir for inviting me. Thank you to Balaji University. It's an absolute pleasure to be back in a college campus. I was just sharing my feelings with sir just few minutes back that it gives me, the nostalgic feeling to be back in the university campus. It's a privilege and an opportunity to address such young, bright minds who are actually leaders of our tomorrow Vikshit Bharat. So thank you to Sri Balaji University for this opportunity. As you have already heard introduction, my name is Rashmi Singh. I am MD and CEO of Enexion Consulting. Enexion Consulting is actually an Indian subsidiary of a German firm. By qualification, I have done Masters in Computer Application from Birla Institute of Technology, and I am a certified ESG impact leader from Ministry of Corporate Affairs uh, under the IICA stream. Enexion, yeah, before I start, my colleague Suhas is accompanying me. So he has done his master's in green technology from Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. And now he is working with us in sustainability and ESG consulting field. So he is accompanying me to be an example for all of you
that what will be your future in few years. So this is one of the opportunity for you to, you may go for ESG and sustainability consulting in coming years. Enexion Group is actually a European management consulting company. We have a couple of verticals in which we operate. So we do energy management and portfolio management for our big European clients who has, you know, very energy intensive operations, mainly in, you know, automotive companies who needs a huge amount of energy resources. So in Europe, we do the energy procurement and portfolio management for these companies. We do ESG and sustainability consulting for European as well as Indian and Asian companies. So what in ESG consulting we normally do is we help companies building their ESG roadmap, creating their sustainability initiatives. We try to support them to get various certifications and ratings which are needed under these ESG verticals. We also help them get the audits done for their manufacturing units. So these are our day-to-day consulting job. And in fact, sustainability consulting, we do more than saving trees. We actually save future businesses. What I am going to talk here today about a topic. By the way, I'm old school. I still prepare my notes before every presentation. So it's just to make sure that I don't miss anything and I try to give as much information needed to all of you. So what we are going to talk today is about a topic which is shaping how every business, every brand, even every career is evolving nowadays. ESG and sustainability. Don't consider this as a, you know, normal classroom lecture, because I'm not a teacher, I'm not your professor, I'm not good in that. Your professors and teachers are very much good in that. Consider it as a conversation of future of business and your place into it. So feel free to ask me questions at the end related to ESG or related to how you see your future in any corporation or any organization. Because, you know, in 5 to 10 years, you will be taking decisions in businesses, and those decisions will not only affect the profit of those organizations, but also the people and the planet. And this is how leadership nowadays, these are the requirements of the leadership nowadays. So we will talk about these topics. So now tell me, how many of you have heard about the word ESG before today or before the masterclass invitation was sent? Be very honest, how many of you went to Google or ChatGPT after you received the invitation and searched about ESG? How many of, none of you have heard, or all of you have heard? All of you know about ESG. It's great. Then I'm not needed here. They already know it. Some of you can just give me the hint. What comes into your mind when you hear ESG? Okay. So that's the full form of ESG. Anything else? Sustainable goals. So you know about the sustainable goals already. You know what are the goals? Some of you. Okay, just to get a fair idea, uh, what stream mainly you are representing right now? HR, marketing, mainly marketing, finance, operations. How many are there from operations? Okay, so mainly marketing, finance, if I say, and operations. Okay, so these three letters actually sounds fancy, but it confuses half the corporate worlds. And what we are going to talk today about is what, why, and how these fancy words are rewriting the rules of the businesses. Because, you know, in few years you will be, or perhaps next year, many of you will be joining some organizations, joining some companies, whether you go in marketing, whether you go in operations, whether you go in HR, whether you go in finance. ESG will find you everywhere. So, but don't worry, after today's session, I'm 100% sure that you will be well equipped with this term, So when you hear in your organization about the term, or when your manager or your supervisor asks you about these compliances, you will at least know what is expected from you. Yeah, so these are the objectives which I just said right now, what we will try to cover in today's session. So we will try to understand the ESG in a simple term. We will try to understand how it actually works within the companies and the organization in the practical terms. And we will see how they are evaluated on these uh, verticals or the criteria. The day Wall Street went dark. So you know Wall Street, all of you, right? Yeah. In a hypothetical scenario, what if one day the largest world stock exchange did not open? It did not open not because of some software failure, not because of some cyber attack, not because of any recession or anything. It did not open because that day New York addressed or saw a record high heat waves. All air conditioned stopped, grid collapsed, and everything shut down. Unimaginable. Now imagine yourself as a young analyst sitting in your first high profile job in New York. Imagine ही करना है तो थोड़ा high imagine करते हैं. So you're sitting in a high profile job, clueless, puzzled, looking around on your office floor. Everybody is tense. There is a silence, no news coming, no ticker, nothing. And you are trying to evaluate what is happening. And you are realizing that even the powerful institution like New York's exchange, which is, supported by trillions of dollars, can collapse in face of climate change. And a society which ignored and forgot the warning signs. And then your supervisor comes to you and asks, what is the exposure of our portfolio to these companies who ignores climate risk? What is the chances of our survival if this is the new normal? And then sitting on your analyst job in an investment company, you realize that, oh, this ESG is not just a fancy term or a checkbox to tick. It is one of the most important criteria for my company to do any investment in the future companies. Take another scenario. You are a supply manager in a manufacturing company, or you have your own manufacturing business tomorrow. You have a very good product, very viable to the market, very demanding. You are trying to export it to various parts of the globe. You are exporting it to Europe, you are exporting it to US, you are exporting it to other Asian countries, and you are planning to launch another product in the market. And one morning, you receive a mail from your European client. Give me your ESG compliance report before I sign a deal with you. And you're clueless what this ESG is. And then you call some consultant, you Google, okay, what this ESG is, you wants to know it. This is actually the new normal of the business. This is the requirement of every business, that every investor, every client, in fact, every stakeholders of any organization looks for the sustainability report of the company along with its financial report before taking the decision to do any work relation or business relation with you, before putting any investment in your company. So in fact, sustainability is not someone else's job anymore. It is part of every job role. Yeah. climate change, I mean, as I said, it is no longer uh, just a buzzword. It is everywhere in headlines, right? That's why you all already know about it. It is a ethical business criteria that what consumers are demanding right now. I cannot see there, so I have to see. I forgot my glasses. It is a responsible consumption. So even every stakeholders, even the buyers are very responsible what they are consuming. They want to see how sustainable their products are. The future careers are depending on these ESG criteria. They are being realigned. Did you know out of 10 global risks, 7 risks are identified as the climate and sustainability risk by World Economic Forum? You, I mean, you can read these risks. Yeah. So if you see that, extreme weather events, social polarization, pollution. So these are, in the 2 years, and then in next 10 years, what are the global risk which is given. So if you see in next 10 years, extreme weather events, biodiversity loss, critical change in the earth system, natural resources shortage, these are the climate risk which World Economic Forum identifies as one of the 10 global risk. And this is how serious it is, because if our planet goes bankrupt, no balance sheet is going to save us. And then this is the GHG emission scenario of the world. So GHG is the greenhouse gas emissions, if you already know. So these are the emissions mainly produced by the manufacturing units, various types of emissions. There are 6-7 gases which comes under the GHG emissions, which is responsible for increasing the global warming. So if you see India, as per the emission, is 2.7 tons CO2, where as per capita, and this is the percentage share of the emissions. If we see, uh, yeah. So looking at the World Economic Forum ESG risk, United Nations comes with the 17 sustainability goals. And in 2015, world signs a Paris Agreement in Paris. And this agreement was not for peace. This was a pact for survival, where countries came together to the agreement to promise to control global warming. And after that, then UN United Nations standards come with the blueprint for the responsible business plan, which is called our Sustainability Development Goals. As a result of that, our own government, Indian government, so SEBI Security Exchange of Board actually designed our own ESG rules, which is called BRSR, which is a Business Responsible Sustainability Report, which is mandatory for top 1,000 Indian companies. So when we say top 1,000 means the listed companies which are listed on the stock exchange, and we say that as per their market capital value, which are the top 1,000 companies, they are mandatory to oblige with these BRSR rules. And what BRSR rule says that as every year you give your financial report and publish it on exchange, you as a company supposed to publish your sustainability report as well on the stock exchange, where your stakeholders, so stakeholders can be anyone, your investors, your own employees, your buyers, your clients. So these stakeholders can go to the stock exchange, download those BRS report, and can see that what is the ESG health of the company, what are the action plans they are taking to control their environmental, social, and governance impact. Then there is this EU CBAM policy, which is called Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So this, I mean, European Union is far ahead in terms of the ESG and sustainability policy. In fact, every regulations and the compliance come from Europe first. They are quite ahead, and there are quite many debates going on that, oh, these are the developed countries who did all the pollutions and who did all the wrong uh, things when they were developing, and now they are putting the pressure on the developing countries like us. Maybe somehow it's true, it's a fact. But the fact is, we are in business, we have to do the business. And for Indians, European is a very prominent market to do the business. So European Union says that if you want to do business with us, you have to comply with our border adjustment mechanism, which says that if you want to bring your product in European market, you have to show how much carbon emitted your product when you are producing it. We will evaluate it. If it matches with our criteria, it's fine. If it doesn't matches, you have to pay a fine. Because in Europe, these rules are quite tight for the manufacturing units. They have always been given a cap that, okay, this is the cap. Above that, you cannot emit when you're, producing any product. In fact, these carbon emissions are traded in Europe. So जहाँ जैसे हमारे इधर shares trade होते हैं, there actually it's called carbon credits. So they are traded in Europe. So if you emit less than what is allowed to you, you can sell it, those credits. And the companies who cannot match the limit of the cap can buy it from you, and then they can produce or manufacture their product based on this cap. So when we as an Indian, where there is no regulations, we don't have any cap, our Bureau of Ministry, Energy Ministry is trying to prepare the rule. So the first round of cap is given to 6-7 companies, where it's been given a target to them to reduce their emission this year, and then we will see how it works next year to spread it to other manufacturing sectors. But when there is no regulations, of course, our emissions are higher during the product manufacturing. And when we go to export it in Europe, they compare it and they say that, okay, since this is the margin, you pay taxes in terms of the CBAM certificate. This all started because they say that Europe wants to avoid carbon leakage. So carbon leakage is again a fancy term which says that, what happens. Europe said that, okay, I am encouraging all my industries here in Europe to reduce the carbon emissions. So they will take all the measures in their manufacturing unit, all the initiatives to keep their emission within the cap. Then what happened? These European companies started outsourcing their production to other companies, other countries. So then they shifted their manufacturing units to India, to other parts of the world where these regulations are not strict. And this is called carbon leakage. That, okay, you are not doing it in your own country, but you are doing it somewhere else. It doesn't solve the purpose. So to curb that, they decided that, okay, we bring this policy. And this is into the picture since last 2 years. Till now, Europe says that, okay, you just let us know that what is your carbon emission when you're sending your product or shipment to us. But from January onwards, they will be fined for that difference in terms of the CBAM certificates. So these are the global drivers for these sustainability. One, the Paris Agreement, which India signed in 2015, and then this UN Sustainability Development Goals came into the pictures, and then these regulations came into the picture. And when these regulations came into the picture, we have to, of course, give it to other countries our reports, sustainability reports. Then India said that, okay, will have our own sustainability report. In fact, India is the leading country to have its own, developing country to have its own sustainability report framework. So this is a completely Indian framework on which you can create your sustainability report. There are global reporting frameworks also, which we'll see in the later slides. So after this, Modi ji signed the pact, and then he said that, okay, now we have to define our sustainability goal. So when various countries came together and signed the pact, Paris Agreement pact, so then every country was encouraged to define their uh, and national development goal. So it's called NDG. So they have to decide their country's goal, and they have to declare it. So these are our goals defined for India, that by 2030 we will try to increase the non-fossil fuel energy, and we will try to have more renewable energy by 2030. We are trying to reduce by emissions by 1 billion ton by 2030. We will try to lower the carbon intensity by 45% by 2030, and we are planning to be net zero by 2070. Very optimistic goal, but hopefully we will reach it. Now, when these goals are defined by any country, how it is implemented? I mean, Modi ji ne bol diya karna hai, but at the end, who is going to uh, reduce these emissions, and how we are going to reach the net zero target? Any idea? No. This will boil down to the industries. So how we will go do it? Like, I mean, to reduce the emissions, we have to identify the source of emission. And then we give the targets to these source of emissions to reduce it. So as an effect of this NDC, various organizations, so especially the bigger ones, has been given the targets to reduce their emissions. So that's why you will hear that, okay, Tata has announced that they will be net zero by 2040. Mahindra and Mahindra has said that they will be carbon neutral by 2040. So various companies has taken the initiatives and defined their own targets to reach this level. Uh, I think some of the host, you are from Amul or and Nestle, yeah, you are in marketing. Have you seen any difference in marketing, or any dialogues being happening in marketing through the ESG lens? Have you heard during your marketing discussions about the ESG or anything?
Ma'am, Nestle was trying to get into sustainable packaging, but the only challenge was that the market where we were entering using the sustainable packaging, that required sustainable packaging, but there were multiple stakeholders. People were there who want to reduce the price, cut down cost, and then enter into sustainable. So that was not matching, and there's still a issue going on with that.
Okay. So this is one of the target for Nestle, that they
Yes,
want to go into,
enter into
because of course Nestle is in a field where packaging is the most challenging, or is the biggest resource, or the category where these consumptions happen. So of
yes,
course they need to work on packaging first. Yeah, good. Thank you. Anything about Amul? I mean, Amul and Nestle in the same, I mean, business field. So
So, ma'am, when I was interning at Amul, basically they were getting into a plan wherein the crates in which the Amul pouches are been stored is of plastic crates. So they were trying to plan it to get that into wooden. So that was the initiative. The place where I was interning, at that place they were taking this initiative for ESG.
mhm. And Amul has recently launched in Europe. So for them, it is a big market, and they have to take the initiative. So these are the examples where these development goals boils down to the industry level, and then they start taking, initiatives to reduce their emissions towards the nationally defined contributions or the goals. These are the factors or driving factors, as I said, the regulatory demands from Europe, from Indian markets, from investors. There are consumer demands, there are investor demands. Nowadays, the young generation are very conscious about what they are buying. They are very conscious. They check the labels. Green label है कि नहीं है. हम हमारे जमाने में हम सिर्फ ingredients check करते थे. nowadays they check what the sustainability factors are behind. And there, of course, lots of greenwashing happens. Anybody knows about the greenwashing? Anybody knows the term what greenwashing is? No? Greenwashing is like you say that you are green, but you are actually not. So it's like a misleading advertisement when we say that, okay, some people say that, okay, 1-2% is the green, and then we say my product is green, but actually it is not fully green. Just one of the two ingredients might be the natural in that, but as a whole, it is not. That's called greenwashing. So that also quite happen in today's market, but we need to avoid that and we need to be conscious about that. Okay, let's go ahead. I would like, yeah, to explain you in little technical terms what actually ESG is. So environment, as you said, it's environment, social and governance. So within an organization, anything, any actions, any process, any resource consumptions which has an impact on the environment comes under environment. Under social, it's your relations with your employees, it's relation with your community, it relations with your stakeholders, whether you are doing proper trainings to your employees, how fair wages are being given, what policies are being made into the organization comes under social. Under governance, it is the basic ethic on which business is made. So how the transparency is maintained into the organization, what fair policies is being done, how ethically management take decisions, all these comes under governance. So these are the three verticals on ESG on which we uh, track the ESG initiatives. This is the ESG in your everyday routine. Can you relate with this? I mean, from the day you get up till the end of the day. So when you start in the morning, you switch on the lights, you already starting using the environmental resources, whether it's renewable or non-renewable, you are using the resources. The breakfast which you are having, you're opening a cereal packet or you are cooking at home, there makes a difference. You're traveling to your college, you're coming on your, everybody is on their own bike or they are using public transport, that matters. Evening when you're going back, रूम पे गए, बैग फेंका, फोन उठाए, या फिर लैपटॉप खोला, mindless surfing. That is using energy. That is again an environmental impact. So we need to actually be conscious. Every day nowadays, it's a fast fashion. It's called fast fashion. Kal jo pehna, I was glad to know that you have a uniform policy in the college. So every day you are not changing your t-shirt or your cloth. That is also, I mean, the fast fashion. From where are you sourcing these, clothings? That is also an environmental impact. In fact, it is more than environmental. It is somehow related to SNG also. We will see as an example. So I have a couple of interesting, examples for you. So we will talk about what actually these ESG risks are. We are talking about ESG companies has to do all these regulations are there, but why? This why comes when something happens. उसके पहले तक लगता है सब ठीक है, जरूरत क्या है? So let's take couple of examples of something happened. Bhopal gas strategy, which happened, tragedy which happened in 1984. I don't know आपके generations को ये पता भी होगा या नहीं, या किसी ने सुना भी है कि नहीं? You know, yeah, this was the world's worst environmental tragedy, which happened in 1984. जब भोपाल के, Hindi is okay with everyone or I have to stick to English? It's okay? Okay. So when in Bhopal in 1984 in pesticides plant, chemical leak हुआ था, and it spread across the community and the residential area when half the people were asleep. Around 3,000 immediate death people died, and in fact later they publicly announced that more than 15,000 died. Many were, many were faced with respiratory health, reproductive health problems after that. And till date, soil and groundwater is still contaminated in that area. 40 साल के बाद भी क्यों हुआ ये? Why this happened? This was a US based company, pesticide company. Because environmental safety was ignored. Proper, uh, you know, emergency management was not there. Gas safety management was not there. And all this happened when जब tragedy हो गई. So this shows that when you take environmental risk, it is more costlier than what you save by avoiding these maintenance. Another one happened, you know, the deep water, horizon oil spill. किसी ने सुना है इसके बारे में? Deep water horizon oil spill. This is a recent. I think it happened in 2010. No, so this is a British petroleum company. So one explosion happened on a deep water horizontal oil rig in the Gulf, Mexican Gulf, and billions of gallons of oil spilled in the Gulf for almost 87 days. Entire biodiversity in that region died. Turtle died, fish died. The tourism and the fishing of that region completely collapsed. BP had to, pay billions in dollars as a fine and the maintenance of that entire cleaning cost and all. If British Petroleum had paid attention to these environmental safety measures, they could have avoided this cost. BP learned very hard way that reputation spill faster than oil, but they could have done it before because it was a reputational damage for them. BP prices went down by 50% in just one day. So it is not just an environmental risk, it is your reputational damage as well, which cost much more in longer run. So it is, companies don't understand that the cost of prevention is always less than cost of recovery. But unfortunately, they realize जब कुछ हो गया है तब. The one which you see on the screen is a very recent one. So it's Siachi Industry Chemical Factory explosion, which happened in June this year itself. In fact, I was in Delhi attending a national, it's called a Responsible Business Conduct Conference. And this time we heard that news, and then we all ESG consultants started into the discussion that how environmental regulation needs to increase in India as well. So this is again a chemical factory where explosion happened, and when the explosion happened, there are more than 1,000 workers were inside, more than 30 to 40 workers died on the site. And when the investigation happened, they realized that many of the systems or many of the instruments were due for maintenance and management ignored it. हमारे इधर नॉर्मल है ना, ठीक है, ड्यू डेट आज है तो हम 3 महीने बाद उसको रिन्यू करते हैं मेंटेनेंस के लिए. हम सोचते हैं एक्सपायरी डेट, हमारा नॉर्मल मेंटालिटी है इंडियन का. इवन फूड विल, एक्सपायरी डेट ब्रेड का आज का था ना, फ्रिज में था ना, कल तक चल जाएगा. तो नॉर्मल मेंटालिटी हमारी होती है. सेम वे एक्सपायरी डेट उस इंस्ट्रूमेंट पे मेंटेनेंस का कल है ना, मे बी 2 महीना 3 महीना और चल जाएगा. So many instruments were due for maintenance, but management ignored it. What happened? It cost so many lives. The entire factory was shut for almost 3 months. That was loss of business. That was more costlier than the maintenance they would have done on time. So these are, I mean, organization needs to understand this. These are not just related to environment. Your employee safety, your process management, everything comes into the picture when you talk about the environmental risk. Another one is, yeah, it is also one interesting one under social risk. So it is a Rana Plaza disaster. So this happened in 2013 in Bangladesh. So Rana Plaza was a 8-story building which was housing many garment factories in that building. And one fateful morning, the entire building collapsed. And then they realized that, okay, there were many women and children were working in a very unsafe condition in that building. One day before, crack was appeared in that building. Workers complained, but the management ignored and threatened them to come to the work, otherwise paisa nahi milega. There were many floors were made illegally above in that building, and this in one incident shook the entire world. This particular factory was supplier of big global brands, Zara, Benetton, Primark, Mango, the name you take. All these global brands were getting their material from this particular factory. It was a huge shock, which led to a regulation which was introduced in European Union. It's called CSDDD, Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence, which says that you are, you can, outsource your production, but you cannot outsource your corporate responsibility. That remains with you. As a corporate, when you are outsourcing your production to other countries, you are responsible to make sure that your supplier is providing you material with the same responsibility towards ESG. And this was the compliance which then made mandatory to European companies that, okay, now onwards, you are not only responsible what is happening within your organization or within your limit, you are responsible for all your suppliers as well. Uh, if we go to, yeah, G, risk. I will come to this later. So, there is, yeah, a couple of more. Yes. Volkswagen emission scandal. Anybody knows that? Volkswagen emission scandal? It happened in 2015. This was also a very interesting one. No? So Volkswagen, जब ये ESG का सारा concept चालू हुआ, they wanted to market their cars. They are the biggest automaker companies. So they wanted to market their car in a saying that our cars have less emissions. And one day they were caught putting defeated device in their car which measures less emission than it actually emit. And when this was exposed, you must have heard the Volkswagen CEOs had to resign. He had to go under the lawsuits. They of course lost many clients because around it says 11 million cars were worldwide were affected with this. They had, I mean, their shares gone down by 40 to 50% in one day. It was a huge reputational damage for Volkswagen. Couldn't they avoided it? Easily. We have to understand that when your ethics does not drive your business will drive away your ethics. And this is a governance risk. When a CEO is sitting on a leadership position, he is not only drawing a paycheck from a company, he is responsible for the ethic, very important fabric of that organization, how the businesses works in his organization. It was his responsibility, which he failed to do. there is one more interesting, I think हमारे time के सबको पता होगा, Satyam Computers, which happened in 2009. Again, you guys must not be knowing. So all these old stories I'm giving you now. Unfortunately, I don't have any new stories, and I'm sure in few days you will be here and then will share your apne time ke stories. So Satyam Computers are one of the prominent name in IT uh, system in India. So they were one of the prominent IT software company competing with Wipro, Infosys, and TCS. In fact, they had big US clients. And there, one day, their founder, what was his name? So you already know. So you know what happened, right? Yes, correct. So Ramalingan Raju confessed that he forged the financial data of the company. So he showed very fake invoices and the revenues to increase the share value of the company. What was the result? Nobody knows. Now, the company, once which was the icon or example of the big Indian IT companies, now is the case study of the governance risk and being discussed like this. He could have avoided it, right? It was a reputational damage. Government has to intervene, board collapsed, then it was being handed over to Tech Mahindra. It was named as Mahindra System and then later acquired by Tech Mahindra. This is one of the governance risk. So please keep this one thing in mind. It takes ages to build a trust, but very few seconds to break it, and almost forever to repair it. So always keep this in mind in any actions or any decisions you will be taking in the future in your uh, organization or in your company. And this is a huge governance risk. And these are the risks which we evaluate when we talk about ESG. Yep. And these are the risks. It's not only that, okay, companies are doing bad things. There are many companies who is doing good things as well. So Adidas had launched, if you have already known, that they had launched shoes made by ocean plastic. This was a great move. So this was not just a marketing move. It was a great strategy, competitive strategy to convert waste into revenue. So they are using a waste and then selling their product, and at the same time they're portraying themselves as a environmental friendly and responsible company. There are many companies. Tata is launching EVs. Why? They know that where world is going ahead, environmental is the biggest concern going forward. Mahindra, they have their carbon neutral plant. There are various companies who are taking initiatives and setting their targets to reduce these environmental impacts. In fact, Infosys saved 400 crore in a year just by doing, efficient energy consumptions. Because they are in IT, they cannot do much with the emissions and all, but they could efficiently manage their energy consumptions. Patagonia is a very good example. ये मैंने जब सुना, I was very interested to know. So people who are in marketing, do you know Patagonia ka case? Anyone in marketing? No. Patagonia is actually outdoor clothing they make and the accessories for hiking and outdoor accessories. And one day, I think in 2011. See, I cannot remember every date. That's why these notes are very important. So November 2011 in New York, there is a Black Friday sale. And New York, it is the biggest sale day. I mean, where companies come with different marketing ideas to increase their sale during the Black Friday. Uh, and that time, Patagonia published a full page ad in New York Times saying, don't buy this jacket. and that was their, most uh, sellable jacket, fleece jacket, outdoor jacket. And they said that don't buy this jacket. What they wanted to say, they wanted to promote conscious buying. Even if you buy something, even if it is called sustainable, still they say that still, it has an environmental impact. It takes 135 liters of water to make those one single jacket. 20 pounds of carbon is emitted when they make one single jacket, and of course waste from manufacturing and shipping which happens. So what Patagonia wanted to do with this advertisement, they wanted to encourage buy less, repair whenever needed, and buy if you really need it. What do you think? What must have happened after this ad? Because हम खुद ही बोल रहे मत खरीदो, तो क्या हुआ होगा? सेल ड्रॉप हुआ होगा, बढ़ा होगा, क्या हुआ होगा? मार्केटिंग वाले कुछ तो बोलो, एडवर्टाइजमेंट का दिमाग लगाओ. नेगेटिव मार्केटिंग क्या होती है? प्लीज प्लीज स्टैंड अप. आई वुड लाइक टू नो व्हाट इज नेगेटिव मार्केटिंग. Exactly, yeah, correct. So this was one of the very good marketing strategy by Patagonia. Thank you. So it's like, yeah, it is negative marketing, but at the same time, they built their self with through this campaign as a responsible company. They say that okay, we are not just selling, we are a responsible company who are also encouraging. And in return, their sale that year increased by 30 to 40%. Of course, definitely many people came for repair after this campaign, which in turn, helped them. But it helped in long term in building a trust that Patagonia is selling something, and if it's saying something, I can rely, I can trust on it. And then, of course, the reputational advantages they got after this campaign. So these are the competitive advantages which companies take under this ESG criteria. Okay, so going next. Oh, it is very interesting. Thank you, Suhas, for this slide. ये सुहास का स्लाइड है. अर्थ ओवरशूट डे. किसी को पता है अर्थ ओवरशूट डे क्या होता है? इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टर्म. नहीं सुना होगा ना कभी अर्थ ओवरशूट डे. सो ये साइंटिस्ट लोग इवेल्युएट करते रहते हैं. काम साइंटिस्ट लोग का यही है, रिसर्च करना एंड डिफरेंट डिफरेंट फैक्ट्स लेके आना और हम लोग को डराना. सो दिस इज वन फैक्ट. So they say that Earth Overshoot Day is like Earth has its own capability to regenerate its resources. So हम लोग wind, renewable energy जो use करते हैं, air, everything is regenerated by the Earth, right? So Earth has its own capacity to regenerate these renewable resources in a year. And the day when we use all this entire resources which Earth can regenerate in a year is called overshoot day. Please closely look at the picture and see throughout the year the graph. So the red area is already, which is already consumed. The blue area is what was available with us. And if you see in 2015, I cannot 2025. So it is in 1971 till December we could use the entire resources, and then it slowly went down. In 2025 we have already used all the resources in July. So whatever we are using now is already from our future generation, or from our future we are using the resources. Can you understand the criticality of it? हमने already consume कर लिया है whatever was for us. You see the picture of one globe in blue and one in red. It says that the way we are consuming the natural resources, we need 1.8 Earth. Can we get it 1.8 Earth? कहाँ से लेके आएंगे? Earth, there is only one Earth. And that's why we have to be responsible about the consumptions. Do we really need it? I mean, हमको लगता है हम लोग घर पे टैप खोलते हैं. When I was coming to this session, when Sinha sir approached me to talk about sustainability and ESG to uh, Balaji University students, and I thought, okay, ये students आज के generation के, and it's very funny that I need to talk to about them about sustainability and ESG. हमारे time पे sustainability was already everywhere. I mean, आप लोग relate करोगे, when we were young in our house, I don't know whether you know or not, we used to wear this chappal, Hawaii chappal it used to call. I will give you the real example. I still buy those chappals in the house and wear it. When we were young, when the strap टूट जाता था, we used to get new strap and we need to put. तब तक स्ट्रैप बदलते रखते थे जब तक कि वो सोल ही नहीं गिव अप कर दे, जब तक कि वो सोल नहीं टूट जाए. कपड़े कुछ भी खराब हुए मम्मी उसका पोछा बना देती थी, कभी भी हम लोग पोछा का कपड़ा नहीं यूज करते थे. इट वॉज फिक्स्ड कि साल में सिर्फ 2 ही बार नए कपड़े आएंगे, दिवाली, होली. बर्थडे पे बड़ा रिक्वेस्ट करते थे बिकॉज बर्थडे फैंसी हो गया था, बर्थडे पार्टी करना है तो दे दो करके, ऐसे ऐसे मिलते थे. अभी लास्ट मंथ मेरा स्ट्रैप टूटा चप्पल का, एंड आई कुडंट फाइंड द स्ट्रैप एनीवेयर. मिलता ही नहीं है आजकल. I had to buy a new slipper. Why? Slipper was perfectly fine. Just वो मेरा टेबल में पैर फंस गया और वो स्ट्रैप टूट गया. So this is the generation we are in. You know, we were from the scarcity. You are in abundance. जब मिल गया है easily तो फिर हमको क्यों जरूरत है बचाने की? Please, whenever you think of, please think of this image. This is the need. Why we need to think बचाने का. मेरा एक बेटा है टीनेजर. I always had a tough time with him. रूम में घुसे, स्विच ऑन किया और बाहर निकले, मम्मा है बंद कर देगी. यू कुड क्लोज. उससे क्या हो जाएगा बेटा? टैप खोलो और बकेट भरो और फिर नहाओ. नहीं, मुझे शावर से अच्छा लगता. उससे क्या हो जाएगा? क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा? व्हाट वी फील, एक मेरे लाइट रूम का बचा देने से क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा? एक मेरा टैप में पानी भरने से, बकेट में भरने से सब तो पूरी बिल्डिंग शावर से नहा रही है, क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा? Please understand, every big problem starts with one small problem which nobody bothered to fix, and then in future it becomes a big problem. So of course we don't say that अभी हम लोग कपड़े खरीदना बंद कर दें, अभी हम लोग जीना बंद कर दें, हवा लेना ब्रीथ करना बंद कर दें because भाई एयर कम है. No, it's not like that, but be conscious. जितनी जरूरत है उतना हम यूज कर रहे हैं, even though we everything is abundance right now, but it may not be tomorrow. सस्टेनेबिलिटी का एक डेफिनेशन ही है, डेफिनेशन. व्हाट इज सस्टेनेबिलिटी? व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ESG और सस्टेनेबिलिटी बोल रहे हैं, आई हैव यूज्ड these two terms, frequently interchangeably. What is the difference? The sustainability is the doing your business in a responsible way, that you make your own profit, but at the same time you take care of the future generation as well. So you will use your resources, you will use, you will do the business to make your profit, but only with the consciousness that you are borrowing this from your future generation. And just imagine, अगर हम जो इधर कुछ seniors बैठे हैं, if we were not conscious about our future generation, maybe you guys were not sitting here in abundance. And you need to have the same consciousness about your future generation. So this overshoot day, please keep into the mind, and then I think this will be a very interesting term which you can flaunt wherever you go and talk about ESG. Do you know overshoot day? And then you can explain ye kya hai. It is a very interesting term, but a very serious message is hidden behind it. Yep. Okay, so I would like you all to have some reflection. when you go home and see that what are the issues related to environmental or social which you see in your local hood, your neighborhood, and you feel that, okay, I can do something for it. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, in few years, you all will join some organizations and some will go in. Acha, okay, I forgot this. Yes, I will explain this. So when I talked about the sustainability, that this is the way how businesses should operate, this is the responsible actions which businesses should take. Now, how do we evaluate these businesses that whether they are doing good or not? How are they evaluated? Exactly, not exactly, but similar to the way you guys are evaluated. You are graded on your GPA, right? You grade these companies in a similar manner on their GPA. We can call it green performance average. So there are various standards, there are various audits which happens in organization. Yeah, so the audits are done to do a reality check that what is the status quo of your company in terms of ESG. So ESG consider as a framework to evaluate the sustainability measures within the company. Then of course we verify with the ESG data and the reports and then see that whether what you have written is a greenwashing or you are actually doing it, whether the claims are correct or not. Then companies review the process and then maybe you can call for a third party verifier audit is done and then the ESG score is given. So in India, mainly BRSR is there, which is by SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India, which is mandatory for Indian companies. There is no other regulations right now. Of course, there are EHS, Environmental Safety and Health and Safety Act is there, which was, by the way, introduced after the Bhopal gas tragedy, which happened in 1984, and then our first Environmental Act came into the picture in 1986, which then further expanded to EHS, which is called Environment, Health and Safety, which is mandatory for every manufacturing organizations to maintain. So it asks them whether you provide safety kits to your workers or not, whether you provide proper training to operate the machines or not. All those criteria comes into the picture. Of when you are doing your manufacturing plant, how much impact it is having, whether it's damaging any biodiversity around the region or not, or whether it will impact the community which are living, because normally these lands belongs to communities and then government or the private organization buy the land from the community. And normally what happens when you buy the land, we promise that okay, we will create so many jobs for you, we will create these schools, colleges and all, whether those claims are made or not. So that also comes under the picture. So those are the only mandatory requirements in India, but there are various global frameworks, which is GRI is a global reporting initiative framework. SASB, TCFD, all these are the frameworks of the reporting, which varies from organization to organization. So if it is a finance company, like it's a banking or anything, they will go for the financial reportings. If it is a normal operational company which are exporting outside India, then they will go with the GRI, because it is then being accepted by all the global international companies. And what is the flow? So this is the actual flow in the company. So we as a consultant, what we do in a practical manner. So what we will do, we will go evaluate what is the status quo of the company, and then we will define that okay, what are the policies related to ESG, whether you have a social policies, where you have environmental policies or not. We will define, we will identify the gap, what is missing, then we will define the targets. Okay, you want to reach there, this is your current carbon emission, you want to reach in 5 years here, and to reach there what are the process you need to modify. You may need to do some innovation. So there, this is what R&D department of any organization works. They do innovations, that how I can modify the process, or how I can modify my, the material which is being used in my product, so that it is overall reducing the environmental impact. So all these processes are being defined. Is there any governance structure needs to be modified? So nowadays it is very mandatory for all the big companies to have their own sustainability team. It is mandatory for company boards to have one sustainability leader in their team. जैसे कि it is becoming mandatory for all the company boards to have women leadership also in the board. नहीं तो पहले सारे males रहते थे. Now it's mandatory to have women leaders also in the board. Similarly, it is mandatory to have the environmental or sustainability officers also in the board. So do you need to do any structural changes in the governance of the companies? That we do. Process improvement, and then we bring that product into the market with these changes. So this is a practical way how company works with this ESG requirements and the outcomes. Yeah, so I was saying that in few years, or maybe next year only, many of you will join the workforces. Some will join HR, some will join marketing, some will join operations, some will go in maybe finance. Every year where you will hear this topic. And how you will hear in HR? The workshops which you will do, the strategy you will build for the mental well-being of your employee, or to make sure that when you are doing the recruitment, whether the diversity is inclusive or not, all those will come into the HR department. And this is a part of ESG. In marketing, we just saw the Patagonia ad. So whether you are doing a responsible marketing or not, authentic marketing or not, whether you are doing greenwashing or you are really standing to the claim which you are doing in your marketing. वो फेयर एंड लवली वाला टाइप मार्केटिंग नहीं जो हम लोग देखते थे. Operations efficiency. So people who are in operations, they will make sure that how the waste can be reduced, how the energy resources which you are using can be efficient or not. When we talk to organization, the very first thing which we look into, how we can efficiently use the energy resources. And moving to solar is one of the easiest way for the companies to do. So can you move to renewable energy? So people in operations can look into it. Procurement, whether I'm procuring ethically or not. The case of the Rana Plaza, which we just discussed. So the supplier from whom I'm taking my, the material, raw material, or I'm sourcing something from my suppliers, how ethically or how environmental friendly that particular material is produced. So the procurement department takes care of that. Before boarding any vendor or suppliers, there is a checklist. It's called Supplier Code of Conduct, where they see how ethical and ESG friendly that supplier or vendor is, and then they sign the deal with those suppliers. Finance, the Wall Street example which we said. Before doing any investment, or maybe tomorrow you are sitting as a CFO of a company, where your company investment has to be done in a way that it will give an impact on your responsible business side. How responsibly your product is produced, or if you are an investment company, in which company are you going to invest? And it's not just to say, it's a fact. Nowadays, investors check the ESG ratings before putting their investment in any company. Just yesterday, when I was in office, I got a call from a company, and they are supplying to Dubai, and their client called, I want EcoVadis certificate. And they are clueless what is EcoVadis. They are a big chemical company. They are pioneer in what they are doing, but they don't know what is EcoVadis. because but their client asked, so they are called us and asked that what it is, why do we need to do that? So EcoVadis is one of the certification, ESG certifications, which is normally done for the suppliers, because by doing this certification there are certain questions which you need to answer, and which shows then the rating is given out of those questions, and then which shows that how ethically you are doing your business. So the client who's sitting in Dubai is trying to evaluate its supplier based on these ratings, and then he will decide whether he will do a business with that supplier or not. So in any department, wherever you are, okay, whether you are in marketing or HR or anywhere, ESG is going to find you everywhere, and you have to be well equipped with it. These are the some real-time facts which is happening in the market. So ESG reporting and regulations came into the picture. As I said, SEBI introduced the BRSR, and then investors are assessing based on the ESG scores, and the performance are given. Global investment trends, which I already told you that before doing any investment, companies evaluate, and then the market impact which it has. So it is just the summary of whatever I have explained so far. These are the some interesting facts you may want to know. Maybe you want to take a picture, you can take a picture. So as I said, the top 1000 companies, listed companies, needs to do the BRSR report. A study shows that the ESG, normally it happens that people say that, oh, it's expensive, because of course if you have to switch from your normal energy to solar, you have to do an investment. It's a big investment, so it is expensive, people think. But in long term, ESG related performances give better result. Nearly 80% of young investors prefer to invest in sustainable or ethical business. This is a study which is done. Energy efficient buildings and renewable power can cut operation cost by 20 to 30%. So as I said, this is the best and easiest way which we suggest any company to start in terms of ESG. Yeah, so at the end, the reality is this: market is shifting every night. Every day it's changing. Climate risk is a real risk which is disrupting the entire business. Expectations are evolving fast. People want to be responsible, people want to invest in responsible company, people want to buy sustainable. So yeah, so when you act responsibly, it helps to drive your business in a proper direction. So yep, thank you for being such a wonderful patiently audience. On a small note, not as a ESG expert, as a one of the leader from in our organization, I would like to also address couple of things to this young people, that of course in future you will hopefully, and we hope best for you, that in few years you will be on a responsible leadership position in your in companies. Whenever you take any decision, please always be conscious and remember that integrity is doing something good when nobody is watching. That's integrity. And doing it sustainability or consistently is when everybody else is doing, but still I am also doing. So as we saw in the Satyam ka example, it's really difficult to build a trust. It's very easy to break. So try to take every decision with real integrity and responsibility. Thank you very much. I hope you learned something from this session. Thank you. Now, if we have time, we can have two things. Either we can have a quiz or we can have question answer sessions. So it's up to you. Quiz? Okay. वो सेकंड वाला पीपीटी है ना, उसको शुरू करेंगे. सो लेट्स सी आप लोग कितने अटेंटिव थे. हाँ, कुछ लोग सो रहे थे, मैंने देखा. वो अभी आंसर देंगे. रेडी? ओके. पहले बी कैसे किसी ने बोला, मतलब वो फेवरेट आंसर रहता है क्या? सी. B. What is the question? What does the social pillar of ESG focus on? Employee welfare, community impact and diversity. Okay. So आज questions बहुत easy दिया है. SBP वाले बहुत smart हैं. अच्छा, ये थोड़ा confusing है क्या? 50-50 वाला है क्या? B. इधर C, इधर B. B. किसको लॉक करें? 50-50 हो रहा है. जीत गए वो लोग. चलो, come on girls, buckle up. This is easy one, yeah. सब अटेंटिव थे. हाँ, कोई नहीं सोया था. Tell me this. What action you will take to reduce your campus carbon footprint? Which you already have, I got to know. Yes. Why not employee safety? Social हो गया. Paper cup instead of plastic. A. Own bottle campaign. Balaji University is doing already that. So it's already a great initiative. Great. I think that's it. Can you please put the, इसमें नहीं है ना QR code? Previous presentation, I would like you all, if you want to know more about this topic, please follow our page on LinkedIn or Insta, because we keep posting every week informative post on that related to this topic. So it will be helpful if whenever you want to, refer about any topic. So if you can please quickly put the, where is the team? The previous PPT. All right, then. Thank you very much.
ठीक है.
I can still take couple of questions if anybody wants to ask. Quickly. I don't want you to sit here for long, but quickly, if anybody wants to ask any question. No? Everybody understood properly? Good. Thank you then.
That was indeed an enlightening and thought provoking session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such valuable insights
Hope.
on how ESG practices can shape organizational success in today's volatile and complex world.
May I now invite Dr. Binod Sinha sir and Pooja Bharadwaj ma'am to present a token of gratitude to our esteemed guest.
Thank you once again, ma'am, for your time, your wisdom, and inspiring us. It was truly a pleasure listening to you. Now, I would like to invite Pranoti to deliver the vote of thanks and express our gratitude to Ms. Rashmi Singh and everyone who contributed to make this event a success.
Sustainability is not a choice, it is a responsibility we owe to the future. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Senior Student Manager Pranoti Gupta, on behalf of BIMM, feels privileged to propose the vote of thanks on this insightful and highly enriching guest lecture on ESG and sustainability. First and foremost, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Ms. Rashmi Singh, for taking time out of her busy schedule to be with us today. Ma'am, your session has given us deep clarity on how environmental, social, and governance principles are shaping the future of responsible business. Your real world examples, industry experiences, and practical insights have helped us understand the true essence of sustainability, not just as a concept, but as a strategic imperative for every organization. Your talk has truly broadened our perspective and inspired us to think more consciously about the role we, as further leaders, must play in building a sustainable world. I would also like to thank our faculty members, management, and coordinators for organizing this wonderful session and for their continuous support. A special thanks to the technical team and the students volunteers who ensured the smooth execution of today's event. Finally, a big thank you to all the students for your enthusiastic participation. Your engagement made today's session even more meaningful. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your valuable knowledge. We look forward to more such inspiring interactions in the frame. Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend ahead.